Hey guys, hope you're fine. My name is Mohammed, and today I have chosen another third passage. Like the previous one, this one has also been taken from my reading challenge course. I hope you enjoy it. And today we're going to go through the answers and analyze the responses. The topic is the peopling of Patagonia. That's a remote area. And let's take a look at the first type of questions. These are multiple choice questions. For multiple choice questions, there are normally two ways of finding where the answers are located in the passage. The first one is either the prompt itself tells you where paragraph to look at. For example, question 27, we have first paragraph. For the second one, we have second paragraph. Either we have the paragraph number, and when we have the paragraph number, we need to read the whole paragraph most of the time. And sometimes we don't have the paragraph number. We have a proper noun or a number. Like here we have the late num model. Here we have early model. And there we have a site. It's called Montverde site. And these are the proper nouns. And in these cases, normally when we have a keyword, we can be more specific about the paragraph. We can find the exact sentence in the paragraph. Anyway, let's take a look at question 27. It says, according to the first paragraph, what is the writer's main point? Okay, we're talking about the gist of the first paragraph. The gist of the first paragraph is mentioned in this part. Let's take a look at it. The earliest occupation of Patagonia carries obvious implications. Okay, this area, Patagonia, has several implications for the scholars because when the North and the South American continents were people, it tells us how these areas were people, and it gives a baseline. I mean, it's an important area that all calculations regarding the rate of dispersion of humans, again about the peopling of these areas, uh, must take into account. All right. If you take a look at this part, the only option that matches this main idea is option C. We instead of the word impacts, we have baseline. It is so important. It's the baseline for any research, and it has an effect on research into wider regions. Why wider regions? Because it says North and South American continents. It gives us some insights on all those areas. All right, let's take a look at question 28. It says in the second paragraph, what is the writer's purpose? Again, here you have to identify the purpose of the writer. If you take a look at the second paragraph and more deeply into this part, it says fundamental disagreements develop concerning the length of time involved. Okay, there are some controversies about the length of time. Uh, and some scholars accepted a human presence in the Americas as early as 20,000 years ago, and while others said it's just 88,000 years ago, and this debate is still there. Okay, let me tell you about this paragraph. This paragraph says there was a debate and about the timing of peopling of in these areas. Some people say it was 20,000 years ago. Some others said just 8,000. And this controversy, this debate, this discussion um, is still there. If you take a look at the options, option C is the correct choice because it talks about a scholarly debate. Scholarly here means an academic debate. Also, we have the word debate here. All right. For question 29, it says the writer refers to the late model in order to. Okay. As you remember, there were two models. One of them was 20,000 years ago. That was the early model. And 8,000 years ago, that's the late model. But the word late model was mentioned in paragraph C. Here we have late settlements, and here we have late models, right? Okay. Uh, all right, let's read this paragraph. It says the late model demands a hypothetical migration conceived of as a single continually advancing wave of settlement. Okay, um, the passage says the late model was hypothetical. It means it was unrealistic somehow because it claims a single continually advancing wave of settlement. Means the settlement was too fast and it was ongoing somehow. On the other hand, there is another one, the early model, that sees migration as a less old ordered process. Means for them, migration is less uh, ordered and slower. And this is surely more the most realistic scenario. Okay, this early model is not hypothetical anymore. It's not unrealistic anymore. It's quite realistic. Why? Because it sees migrations as migrants slowly adapting to the diverse natural habitats. Means they um, gradually, little by little, they adapted themselves to these habitats. It wasn't uh, ordered. It was less ordered somehow. I hope you got the idea. So here it talks about the late model because they wanted to compare it with another model. That's the early model. All right, that's A. Also, we took a look at the answer to question 30 because question 30 says, sorry, what is the writer's main point about early model? It says it was realistic because they adapted to these areas slowly. So if you take a look at the last option here, it says it's more consistent. Here we have adapted instead of consistent. And the physical conditions of the land, it says diverse natural habitats. They they would have met while traveling throughout the continent. All right, that's option D. The next question talks about a site. We can find the name of the site here. All right, so the answer is here. Um, it says, what does the writer suggest about this site? Okay, we need to read it from here. Nevertheless, evidence for human occupation sites older than the site of South America is now uh, securely dated to around 12,500 years ago at this site, which casts doubt on the late model. Means it doesn't support the late model, but it supports the early model. Um, okay, it provides supporting evidence for the relatively early settlements. Means it doesn't support the late model. Okay, let's take a look at the yes or not given questions. The first question says the condition encountered means faced by the first migrants to Patagonia was unique. Means the condition they experienced was somehow unique and one of a kind. Instead of first migrant in the passage, you have initial human intrusion, right? Okay, the answer is somewhere here. Let's read it completely. We can speculate then that the retreat of Patagonian glaciers around 14,000 years ago allowed the initial human intrusion into this pristine area, environment. Pristine means untouched, which was similar to that of early post-glacial Europe. It means it was similar to another group, so it wasn't unique to these people. So the answer is definitely no. In the country, the first immigrant hunted wild animals for food. So here it talks about the eating habits and the hunting habits of these people. So first we have to find the word high country. That's here. Okay, if you take a look at this site, this part, or even up to this part, let's take a look at it. Human settlement of the vast horizontal expanse of time treeless. High country must have been tenuous at best, and the evidence for this occupation remains relatively scant, most of it coming from the rock shelters in Argentina and Chile. Okay, if you take a look at the next question, the word Argentina and Chile was mentioned as the next question. So the answer must be somewhere I mean, from here up to before this Argentina and Chile. And as you see, there is no indication of the eating habits or or these people hunting food. So the answer is definitely not given. But the next question, it says archaeologists have failed to draw a conclusion. Means they couldn't manage to draw a conclusion from the evidence at these two shelters in Argentina and Chile. If you take a look at here in Argentina, Chile, and it says there is, however, reliable evidence from these sites. So it's quite the opposite. It's no, because they could draw conclusions. 35, archaeological evidence can be moved from one place to another in a variety of ways. Means these archaeological evidence are mobile. They can move from one area to another. If you take a look at the this part here, it says this is because anthropologists have come to recognize that bone and other evidence, these are the archaeological evidence, may be deposited in caves, means they have transported from other areas to the caves by natural agency. What are these natural agency? Other forces such as floods or predator, and not necessarily by humans. So we have a variety of ways for moving or depositing them. And the archaeological evidence was paraphrased as bones and other evidence. So the answer is definitely yes, everything is there. If you take a look at the last part, we have summary completions with options A to J. All right. For the first gap, we need to take a look at this sentence. And if you take a look at that sentence, you can see a proper noun. Chichinhuapi. This Chichinhuapi is mentioned here. It says building remains and other evidence have been found in blah blah at this site, and because of this, it has been possible to date them to around 12,500 years ago. This number was mentioned here, so probably we should continue reading up to this part. Excavation, the site located beside this Chichinhuapi Creek have produced convincing evidence. Okay, we have convincing evidence of human occupation, including hut foundations and wooden artifacts. Okay, the evidence were these are the evidence, huts and some artifacts. Okay, but look at this part. It says they were buried in a layer of peat, which has the property of preserving wood remarkably well. Means they were buried in an area where peat was present, and this peat has the property of preserving wood remarkably well. It means the evidence on the site was in good condition. That's definitely D. The next question, from here up to this part, probably no, up to here. And if you take a look at this sentence, we have the word Los told us as the next proper noun. Los told us is here. It says, however, the blah blah of the sample taken from Los told us means that this sentence is of doubtful value. I mean, there was something wrong with the samples, and that's why they were worthless somehow. Instead of doubtful value, we have called into question. Okay, what was the problem? The evidence from one of the most famous Patagonian sites, named this, has recently been called into question because dispersed uh, flecks of carbon used in the test process was taken unsystematically from different places. Okay, they took samples from various locations and it was unsystematic, and the flecks of carbon was dispersed. So if you take a look at the option, the only option that matches is B because we have random collection. The samples were chosen randomly, and that's the problem. So that's B. All right. Question 38. For question 38, we have, okay, from here up to this part, and we have the word areophil, areophil. So that's here, areophil is the proper noun. And what does it say? The remain found at the site show blah blah and the date from 9,000 years ago. Okay. We have also the word 9,000 years ago here, and we have the date of it here, but let's take a look at this sentence. It says the artifact from the earliest occupations were found at the same depth and the same region. Okay. The 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 samples were at the same depth and the same region as Los told us and have been securely dated to um, 9,000 years ago. So they had similar properties. Okay, that's similar properties because they were from the same depth and the same origins, these two sites. Next line, it says, unfortunately, no blah blah can be made between the samples taken from this site, a new one, and the human presence. Means there was nothing um, blah blah between these two, human presence and la buitras. Okay, this proper noun is here. All right, and also we have the word human presence here. Let's scan it. Okay, okay, um, okay. Human occupation is here. All right, let's take a look at this part. It says, however, anthropologists now believe that presumed cut marks on the bones are somehow dubious. All right. Um, it was dubious means they're not sure about it or they're not reliable, and there is no way of se uh, securely relating any of these remains with human occupations. So there was no link, there was no relationship. So the answer is um, which one? H, reliable connection. Okay, there was no connection, there was no relationship or link between the two. And the last one, it says the finding carried out at this site. This is again a new site. This one cannot provide useful information beyond blah blah. Okay, it doesn't provide any information beyond or more than this. Finally, some 50 kilometers to the south is the site called this, which was the first Patagonian site to be systematically studied by modern methods. However, it's now recognized and that utility of this site must be restricted to its direct vicinity. Vicinity means the area around it. Means it's restricted to this area, means it's limited to that area. So that's immediate, surrounding, or J. Okay, hope you enjoyed uh, uh, the video and uh, got some insights into this passage. And I also have the answers here. So the first one was C, the second one was C also, the third one was A, the next one was D, next one was B, no, not given, no, yes. All right, and here we have D, B, C, H, and J. We answer all of them correctly. Hope you enjoy it and good luck.